Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on the 1991 film Drop Dead Fred. Now, as you know, Drop Dead Fred is a 1991 black comedy fantasy film that was directed by H.D. John, as well as being produced by Polygram Filmed Entertainment. Now, the premise of the film is meant to be about Elizabeth, who is trying to basically rebuild her life again by trying to go back to her ex-husband Charles after he moves on with his life. And we kind of see how she's got a kind of controlling and kind of emotionally abusive mum. Now, the mum, I would say, means well, but doesn't think through her own actions or mistakes. You can tell she means well, but doesn't see the full consequences of her actions. So of course we see how Elizabeth finds an old jack-in-the-box after moving back in with her mum, and finds to her shock and even horror that her old imaginary friend, Drop Dead Fred, comes back and wreaks all kind of havoc. Now, the film, I would say, has a straightforward message, that sometimes we have things that hold us back, and sometimes people can control our lives while we don't really focus on what we want to do. And I think you can kind of tell Elizabeth starts to slowly see this, and you can tell the point of Drop Dead Fred is that he's meant to help Elizabeth come out of her shell, meant to sort of help her, not be something she's not supposed to. And I would say, at the same time, I'm kind of surprised that the film didn't really do well at the box office. And I think it's a shame too, because I definitely think Rik Mayall does a great job as Drop Dead Fred. He gives this over-the-top, wacky personality that I think we've all come to expect from British sitcoms, like The Bottom, also like Guest House Paradiso, also basically other media he's been in, and I think it definitely works. I think it's a shame that hateful critics like Gene Siskel didn't really give the film a proper chance, which I think could have worked a bit better. And I know originally Tim Burton and Robin Williams were offered to do the role of director and the role of Drop Dead Fred, but turned it down. And keep in mind that Tim Burton probably would have done a sort of Tim Burton-esque feel. And I think there are moments where it can do Tim Burton stuff. Like when you've got the dream sequence, you see basically Elizabeth seeing the things that hold her down, more like anchors. And this reminds me a bit of Virgil's downfall in DMC Devil May Cry, as he saw things as objects that held him down. I will also say that, as well, it's kind of implied that Fred and other imaginary friends come to kids who are miserable or looking for someone to be their friend. And this does remind me a lot of Very Odd Parents that would eventually be made in 2001. And it's kind of similar, but kind of different. And even Fred states, "I can't go back home now because you're miserable," which kind of hints that the imaginary friend's job is to sort of be around and help the sort of kid overcome their problems. And I would say, looking at it, yeah, the mum does go a little overboard at times, but you can kind of tell she means well, but doesn't think through her actions. And when you had the father in the flashbacks, Nigel, he wasn't really too mindful of Fred. He just knew that Elizabeth was just using her imagination, even though it did go a little too far. And I would say, as well, Drop Dead Fred is pretty much a rememberable film. And I think it's kind of surprising how Phoebe Cates has never done much acting, and the only thing she did come back was in the LEGO Dimension game back in 2015 as her role of Kate back in the Gremlins film. And I kind of feel, to me, Drop Dead Fred is an alright film. It's more about realising the things that hold us back and trying to sort of not become something we're not. So I definitely think this movie deserves a thumbs up. Still good and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.